All right, good morning. Happy Friday. The chit chat before class was like, what a long week it's been. So it's all good. Good things are coming, right? Spring is coming. Hope is coming. And in the meantime, we just have to wait, right? We just like try to be patient. And so this yoga practice can teach us some patience, right? Always going back to our breath when things get hard or kind of scattered, just learning to breathe through it and find the patience, find the strength, and find the peace in the moment. So as we move through the practice, just always go back to your breath, because if you're breathing, you're doing the yoga here. Right? It's not always about the asana and the pose and what it looks like on the outside. It's really what's going on the inside that starts to create the change. So let's get started by grounding down, right? Finding your sit bones, the foundation of your pose right now, your seat, grounding down and letting that start to lift your spine. So really grounding down through the sit bones and then lifting up through the spine, through the heart, gently engaging your core here, finding a nice sort of even amount of engagement through your whole waist, the back, and the front, and the sides. Shrug your shoulders up by your ears, roll them back. Let your shoulders pull down away from your ears, finding a nice long neck and space for your heart and your lungs to open. And in this space, let's open class together with 3 Oms. Taking a deep breath in, filling up here. Sitting with this vibration as we start to settle into ourselves, our body, our mind, our heart, and onto our mat. Let the vibration of Om start to awaken your body from the toes all the way up to the top of your head. And kind of igniting that fire within. Gently let your eyes blink open. Remove anything that you might be sitting on. We're going to start today in child's pose. So join your big toes together on the mat. Spread your knees nice and wide and allow space for your torso to fall down toward the mat. The first few breaths, just take your arms wherever it feels comfortable. I want your third eye down on the mat here, grounding down. You can walk your hands out in front of you if you're ready. You can bring them behind you. You really want your sit bones to feel nice and heavy here. And then just take a moment, think about the tops of your feet. Oh, and you can start your playlist, by the way. I always forget to say that. You can start your playlist if you haven't already and you're wanting to practice to music. Good. Take a moment here to focus on the tops of your feet and make sure that they're sort of even, the whole top of the foot is evenly pressing down into the mat. You're not rolling to one side or the other. Think about your heels coming sort of right behind and down from your calf muscle, right? I tend to roll out. Some people tend to roll in. Try to correct that for a moment and use your hips and the weight of your hips to sort of stabilize that evenness in your foot. Might be a little uncomfortable. You might feel a new sort of little nook or cranny in your inner hips when you do that, or your outer hips. But just be conscious of your feet right now. If your arms are not out in front of you, start to walk them out. Come up on your fingertips here like little tents or little spiders. Lift your arms up off the mat and then press down through your fingertips. Start to pull your shoulders back. Nothing's going to move, but that traction, you should feel a nice opening down your arms. Breathe here, inhaling and exhaling. Good, then bring your forearms down to the mat, bend your elbows, join your hands in prayer, take that prayer up overhead, right? The thumbs may join the back of your head and just, again, press down where you're touching the ground. So this time it's right above your elbows here. Lift your armpits up, find a nice stretch in your triceps here, and just breathe. Keep sending those hips back. Keep those feet nice and evenly pressed down onto the mat. Inhaling and exhaling. Release the prayer back up above your head and then start to walk your hands off to the left. Keep your right sit bone grounded down into that right heel. Good, and then find a nice stretch through the right side of the body. Feel space opening up in your rib cage. You can even try to take your palm and twist it up toward the sky, your right palm, and then take your left palm a little in prayer, pressing down, kind of opening up in that rotation of the shoulder up by your armpit. Inhaling here and exhaling. Good, release that little bind if you have it. Walk your hands back through center, take it to the other side. Taking a few breaths here to find your place in the stretch. As you stretch the left side of your body, grounding the left sit bone down into the left heel. Extending that left arm out to the side. And then if you did so on the other side, flip your left palm toward the sky, take your right palm to meet it in prayer, and use that pressure to find a little bit of extra stretch and rotation all the way up your left arm. Inhaling here and exhaling. Good, release that little prayer if you have it. Walk your fingers back up to center. Press your palms into the mat and come up to tabletop position. Good, bring your knees in a little bit so that they're right under your hips. Nice strong tabletop here. Shoulders right over your wrists. Fingers spread nice and wide. Taking up as much space with your palms as you can on the mat. And for a few breaths here, let's just inhale and exhale through some cat-cow. So press down through your knees and your palms as you start to pull your heart through your shoulders. Arch your spine, gaze moves up. And as you exhale, press into the mat to round your spine, tuck your tail, tuck your chin. Exhale it out. Good. Inhale, arch. Pull your heart forward, gaze moves up. Exhale, round it down. Really tuck that tailbone. One more time. Inhale, arch it up. Exhale, round it down. Good, come back to neutral here. Keep your left palm planted in the mat. Take your right arm up to the sky. Just take a nice twist here. Try to keep your hips even. It's hard here, right? Feel your hips pressing back in space as you open your heart, let your gaze move up to your top thumb. And then as you exhale, thread your right arm under your left, bringing the right shoulder and cheek down to the mat, taking this nice twist here. You can walk your left fingertips up overhead, finding some length in the side body. You can bring it around for the bind. Good, keep opening your heart, like pressing down to twist up. Inhaling here and exhaling. Next inhale, take that left arm back up overhead and then down to the mat as you sweep your right arm up to the sky. Exhale back to tabletop. Switching sides, sweep that left arm up to the sky. And as you exhale, start to thread it through, bringing the left shoulder and left cheek down to the mat, maybe walking your right fingertips up overhead, maybe staying on fingertips here, nice and engaged down the arm. Maybe taking the bind as you reach your hand behind you, grabbing the inner thigh of the opposite leg. Keep that collarbone spreading open as you gaze up and twist a little bit further. Inhale here and exhale. Next inhale, sweep that right arm up toward the sky, place it back down to the mat. Left arm goes back up. And as you exhale, bring your self back into a tabletop position. Good, from tabletop, take your right arm forward and your left leg back. Starting to do a little bit of core work here. Think about pulling your tailbone down towards your heel as you engage your navel up towards your spine. Nice long line between your fingertips and your toes here. As you inhale, stretch a little bit further, keep your neck nice and long, no strain in the neck. And then as you exhale, curl it in, elbow to knee, under your body. Good. Inhale, extend it out. Exhale, round it in. One more time here. Inhale, extend it out. This time, take your right arm out to the side as you kick your left leg out to the left side. Good. So you're stretching in opposite directions. Try to point your left toes toward the front of the room. Keep your foot flexed. Hold it here. One more breath. Good. Then let that left leg fall to the mat and stand up on your right knee so that your left leg is coming straight out. You're nice and tall here. Take an inhale here to lift your right arm up toward the sky, and then just take a nice side bend here, letting your left hand pull down your left leg. Keep your tail tucked, no sway in the lower back. Gaze is up. One more breath. Then as you exhale, take the stretch to the other side, but keep pressing through that left foot, right? Press down to lift your left arm up and over. Tuck your tail, reach a little bit further. Good, inhale, bring your arms back up overhead. Hands come to the mat, tuck your right knee in, or your left knee in, sorry, come back to tabletop here. Switching sides, this time your right leg stretches behind you, your left arm reaches forward. Find that squareness in your hips, engage your core, tuck your tail down. Feel nice, like everything's drawing into the midline here. Inhale here, stretch a little bit further. And as you exhale, curl it in, elbow to knee. Inhale, stretch it out. Use your core to move your body. Exhale, pull it in. Last time here, inhale, stretch it out. And then as you exhale, left arm moves straight out to the left, right foot straight out to the right. Good, try to point those toes forward. Keep them lifted nice and high at hip level. One more breath here. Beautiful, as you start to exhale, let your right foot fall down to the side so that your foot's pretty even with your left knee. And then lift your torso up. Inhale, lift your left arm up overhead and then start to take that nice side bend as your right hand kind of traces down the outside of your right leg. Reaching up, tuck that tailbone under. Don't let your hips move back, right? Keep pulling them forward, opening up the front of the hip. And then as you exhale, switch sides, press down through that right foot and use that power in that to find length as you open up. Reaching your right fingertips overhead, tuck that tail. One more breath. Inhale, arms come back up overhead. Hands to the mat, right knee comes back to tabletop. Tuck your toes under here, arch your spine, gaze moves up. Good, and then keeping this arch in your lower back, start to send your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Really feel like your hips are leading the way here. Keep your knees bent as long as possible. And when your arms are nice and straight, then start to straighten your knees and let your heels drop to the mat, coming into your first downward facing dog. Pausing here, just pedal it out. Kind of get yourself set up. You might have to lengthen your stance, shorten your stance, just feel strong. Heels may or may not come down to the mat. That's like an anatomical thing, right? Flexibility thing. Feel the four corners of your palms pressing into the mat and use that to pull the eyes of your elbows forward, right? And feel what that does to create more space for your neck to hang away from your shoulders. Tuck your chin in. Good. Nice, easy gaze here. Inhaling here. And exhaling. On your inhale, come high on your toes. Tuck your navel toward your spine. Tuck your tail down toward your heels. And then like create a wave through your spine as you roll forward to plank, really exaggerating. Good, when your shoulders are on top of your wrist, start to arch your spine, just drop your hips a little bit, coming into this tuck-toed upward facing dog. And then as you exhale, bend your knees, send your hips back, downward facing dog. 2 more times like that. Take it nice and slow, feel every part of your spine opening up. So high on the toes, engage your core, roll it forward. Good, and then start to drop your hips, but keep your toes tucked here. Find length in the front body. And as you exhale, seat to heels, press it back, downward facing dog. One more time, high on the heels, roll it forward, engage your core. And as you exhale, come into that tuck-toed upward facing dog. Exhale, press it back to downward facing dog. Next, inhale, send your right leg up toward the sky, 3-legged dog. Bend your knee, open up that hip. Good, and then start to make those nice, yummy circles. Good. 3 times in one direction with a straight or a bent leg, take it nice and slow. And then 3 times in the opposite direction. Breathing in and breathing out. Next, inhale, right leg reaches up toward the sky. Come high up on your left toes. Catherine, maybe don't do this. Good. If you're up on your toes, gently bend that left knee. Feel your chest move a little bit further back as your right toes reach a little bit higher toward the sky. And as you exhale, slowly pull yourself into plank, knee towards your nose. And as you exhale, gently place your foot in between your hands, coming into a low lunge here. Good, set it up here, high on your fingertips so that you have space for your hips to lift. Pull your heart forward, press your left heel back. Good, and then with all this engagement, with as little movement in your torso as possible, as you inhale, just tap your left knee down to the mat. And as you exhale, press through your foot to straighten that left leg back out. 2 more times like that. Inhale, tap. Exhale, straighten. Last time, tap it down. Feel the opening in the top of your hip and then straighten it back out. This time as you tap it down, untuck your toes, bring your hands up just above your right knee here. Tuck your tailbone under, maybe lift your torso up a little bit so you can feel your ribs move in. Tuck your tail down, feel nice and strong in the torso here, right? Not a big arched spine here, nice and tall. Think about all these right angles we're creating here. Take an inhale here, press down to lift your heart, feel the length in the front of your whole left leg up to your head, maybe even up to your rib cage. Good. And this time as you exhale, now let your hips drop as you sweep your arms up overhead, coming into this Anjaneyasana. Letting the hip go, finding an arch in your lower back if you can. Lifting your heart. One more breath. Exhale, hands come down to either side of the front foot. Straighten your right leg, press your right heel into the mat as you pull your heart forward. And then exhale, fold it down into a half split. Breathing here. Maybe windshield wipering that front foot. Exploring the different parts of your hamstring, your hips here. But if you find a nice juicy spot, just stay there and breathe. Inhale here, one more breath. As you exhale, bend into your right knee, place your hands on the mat, step it back to downward facing dog. Left leg reaches toward the sky as you inhale. Bend your knee, open up the hip, feel the hip stacking here. And then nice and slow, with intention, start to make these nice big circles. First in one direction 3 times. And then switching directions. Again, pausing where you need to, using that breath if you find a tight spot. Next, inhale, left leg reaches for the sky. If you did so on the other side, come high on your right toe this time. Gently bend that right knee, just barely bend it. Feel your chest move back as your left toes reach toward the sky. And as you exhale, roll forward to plank, hug that knee in towards your chest. And as you exhale, come into your low runner's lunge here, high on your fingertips. Take a moment here and find a nice strong foundation. Good, heart is moving forward, hips are lifting up, core is engaged. And then again, with as little movement as possible, as you inhale, tap your right knee down to the mat. As you exhale, press through that right heel to straighten your leg, feel the opening in the front of your right leg. 2 more times, inhale, tap it down. Exhale, straighten it back out. Last time, inhale, tap. Exhale, straighten. This time, tap your knee down, untuck your toes, bring your hands just above your left knee here. And then press into your knee, feel your torso lift up tall. Right, so your torso is nice and like perpendicular to the ground. Crown of your head reaching for the sky. Tuck your tail under here, feel a nice opening in your right hip. Pausing here, pressing down, tucking in, and then lifting up just with your heart center. Hold it here, one more breath. Sometimes holding is the hardest. One time. Good, and then as you exhale, release down into Anjaneyasana. You sweep your arms up, this time let your hips fall toward the mat. Keep a little engagement in your back body and in your core to protect your lower back, but you can find a little bit of an arch here. Lifting your heart. One more breath. Exhale, hands to either side of the front foot. Straighten your left leg, press that left heel into the mat as you pull your heart forward. And then exhale, fold it down. Good, pausing here, staying where you are, or maybe moving your toes left to right. This is like a good kind of check-in. Our hips and our bodies are so asymmetrical, right? So that your one hip might feel totally different than the other. It's all good. We're human. You have to embrace that. Good. One more breath here. Next inhale, bend back into your left knee. Step it back to downward facing dog. And from your down dog, just come high on your toes, hollow out your belly and start to walk yourself toward the top of the mat. When you arrive there, feet or hips width distance apart. Gently bend your knees here before we straighten. Good. Feel when you bend your knees, feel your sit bones separate and go up toward the sky like headlights, right? Find that space there and then press through your feet to straighten your legs, folding into that extra space you created. And if you're having back problems, it's always okay to keep your knees gently bent. It really can be really therapeutic. Good, you can grab opposite elbows here, sway side to side. You can crisscross your arms behind your calves. Do what feels good for you right now. Just take notice of your feet pressing into the mat. And again, if you roll out, maybe try to roll in. And if you roll in, try to roll out a little bit to find some even weight throughout the entire sole of your foot. Inhale here and exhale. Next inhale, release any bind that you might have. Bring your hands out in front of you so that they're right under your shoulders here. And Catherine, just be careful with this one. You may only want to do half of this. You can come on your fingertips or your palms. I want you to take the weight into your palms and come high on your toes here. Even feel your shoulders moving a little bit ahead of your wrists. Good, and then as you exhale, bring your feet down toward the mat. Lift your toes and balance on your heels. Press your fingertips forward. You can tuck your chin in. It's a little bit easier to balance. Good. Feel the opening in the back of your legs here. And then again, inhale, tip it forward, come high on your toes, palms press into the mat. Feel the weight in your palms. And then as you exhale, take it back up on your heels. Tuck your chin in, send your hips back in space. Good. Inhale, this time just bring your feet back down flat to the mat. Tuck your chin and roll yourself slowly all the way up to stand. Taking your arms out and up overhead. Easing up, finding light from the front body. And as you exhale, bring your hands towards your side. Take a moment in Tadasana. Right, that was a nice juicy warm up. Maybe you're already feeling nice and warm and sweaty, hopefully. Good, getting deep into those muscles pretty early. So just respect that. And before we get moving in our sun salutations, just set an intention for your practice today, for your weekend. Good, for where you're going to send all this beautiful spirit and energy we're creating in the next hour. Good. You can keep your eyes closed if you want to try to go through a sun salutation with your eyes closed. It's a very different experience, or feel free to keep it open, whatever you're feeling today, just giving you some options to try and explore some different variations. Wherever you are, for the first sun salutation, I want you to keep your knees gently bent as we start to stretch, okay? So gently bend your knees, tuck your tail under. As you inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Feel how that feels in your hips here when you have a little bend in your knees versus like strengthening your knees, right? And sending your hips forward. You have a little bit more space in the front body here. Reach up here with gently bent knees. Good, and with that gentle bend, start to fold yourself forward over gently bent knees. Inhale here to lengthen. As you exhale, plant your palms, step or jump back, lowering down to chaturanga. Keep those elbows squeezing in. Inhale, upward facing dog. Press the tops of your feet evenly into the mat. Again, notice if you're rolling out. Think about correcting it in one like half breath here. And then exhale, take it back to downward facing dog. Breathing in and breathing out. Right, sometimes when we're so used to doing poses, it's nice to have some variation. Just see what you're like it might just be what you want today, or what you can explore in your body. And I'm just here as your guide, giving you some options. Do what feels good to you. Inhaling here. Exhaling, length down the side body. One more breath, take an inhale. As you exhale, bend your knees, look forward. Inhale, step or jump to the top of the mat. Exhale, fold over straight or gently bent knees. Good. Inhale, rise up, reach up, palms press. Exhale, arms by your side, Tadasana. One more time like that. Inhale, reach it up your way. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, step or jump back, lowering down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Press your feet into the mat. Exhale, take it back to downward facing dog. Inhaling here and exhaling. Maybe try to lift your fingers off the mat and just press the four corners of your palms into the mat. See what that does. Right? Option throughout the practice here. Inhale and exhale. A lot of us tend to sort of send all the weight into our fingertips like they're little breaks, but try to find some more evenness throughout from your fingertips all the way to the heel of your wrist there. Inhale. As you exhale, bend your knees, look forward. Inhale, step or jump to the top of the mat. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, rise up, reach up, palms press. Exhale, arms by your side, Tadasana. Hook your thumbs out in front of you as you inhale, reach up, look up, arch back, tuck that tail, skin, like stretch the front body here. And as you exhale, bend knees, swing arms, clasp hands, fold it down, let the crown of your head pull you down. Good, keeping your hands clasped here, squeeze into the midline, your knees are touching, good, and then just bend to the spear squat here. Send your hips back, send your heart forward, shoulders are moving back, gaze ahead. Weight is in your heels here. Good, and then as you exhale, straighten it back down, maybe the weight moves a little more toward the toe end of your foot. Little minor movements here. Inhale, send the weight back as you bend and pull your heart forward. Exhale, straighten and fold, release your hands to the mat, step your right foot back to a lunge, gaze moves forward. Exhale, left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Really send those hips up toward the sky. Inhale, slide it forward to low cobra. Pull your shoulders back. Exhale, push it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward to a lunge. Exhale, left foot forward, fold it down. Inhale, bend knees, hook thumbs, reach up, look up, arch it back. Exhale, bend knees, swing arms, clasp hands, fold it down. Inhale, hands to the mat, left foot back, lunge, gaze ahead. Exhale, right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, lower chaturanga, squeeze your elbows. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, slide it forward to cobra. Exhale, push it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward to lunge. Exhale, right foot forward, fold it down. Inhale, bend knees, hook thumbs, reach up, look up, arch back. Hold it here for an extra breath. And as you exhale, arms by your side, Tadasana. Good. Picking up the pace, just linking our breath and our movement. I'm super thirsty now. Back at the top of the mat, resetting here. Toes and heels are touching. As you inhale, drop your hips down, weight to the heels here as you come into Utkatasana chair pose. Think about tucking your tail in, but lifting your heart up. Maybe your palms press together in prayer. Maybe they're like coming straight up from your shoulders here. Do what feels good. Inhale here. As you exhale, fold down over straight legs or maybe bent. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, step or jump back, lowering down to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward, left heel spin down, rise up into warrior one. Pause here. Really press into that back foot. Pull those hips forward toward the front of the room, squaring them off. Tuck especially your left tailbone down toward your left heel. Feel the opening in the front of the left hip here. Inhale here, pull your rib cage in. As you exhale, straighten your front leg, bring your hands behind you. Interlace your fingers as you open your heart, pull your hands down. And as you exhale, start to bend back into your right knee as you fold into humble warrior inside your right leg. Inhaling here. And really think about pulling that right knee into the midline. Don't let it kind of flop out, and then pull the right hip back into the midline also, right? So nothing's flaring out to the side. Crown of the head is pulling you down. Press into that back foot. Feel the inseam of your left leg kind of lift up a little higher towards the sky, finding more space to fold. Exhale. Next inhale, come halfway up. Release your hands off to the left corner. You're probably gonna walk them off the mat. So you're in warrior legs and like downward facing dog arms here. Keep sending those hips back, pressing through the feet as you walk your fingertips forward, lengthening your spine. Inhale here, bend a little deeper into that right leg. One more breath. Good, as you exhale, walk your hands to either side of your front foot. Lift your left heel, plant your left hand and take a nice open twist here. Again, pulling that right hip in toward the midline, finding a nice stretch in the outer right hip. Bending deeply into that right knee. Sending your left heel back toward the back of the room. One more breath. Exhale, right hand comes down, step back, lower down to chaturanga. Always an option to skip and make it downward facing dog. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot forward, warrior one. Find your foundation. Feel your feet pressing in the mat and use that to lift you up. Find buoyancy in your torso here. Good, pressing into the feet, tuck that tailbone down, find opening in the front hip. One more breath here, bend a little deeper into your left knee. And then inhale, straighten that left leg as you bring your hands behind you. Interlace your fingers, pull your fingers down, open your heart, find space here to fold. And then exhale all at once, then back into the left knee as you fold forward and down into humble warrior. Breathing in and breathing out. Pull that right knee, the left knee in and the left hip in. More in line with this kind of the side of your mat. Press into that back foot, don't forget about it there. Feel your right leg lifting up a little bit, kind of from the bottom side up. Really use your feet. One more breath. Good, staying low, keeping your left knee bent. Release your hands off to the right corner of your mat. Maybe on fingertips, maybe on palms. Do what feels good, right? Send those hips back. But kind of don't let them sink too much. Press into the feet so they don't sink. One more breath here. And then walk your hands to either side of your front foot. Lift your right heel, plant your right hand, just take this nice open twist. Breathing in. Again, first bend into that left knee and then pull your left hip back into the midline. One more breath here. Exhale, left hand comes down, step your left foot back to plank, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe here, 3 breaths, reset, reconnect. Breathing in, and always child's pose is an option, especially on a Friday, right? Breathing in and breathing out. Next inhale, step your right foot forward, rise up to warrior one. Exhale, open it up to warrior two. Then keep that left arm moving like a clock as you pull yourself into a high lunge. So you're gonna peel your left heel off the mat here. Back toward the front of the room, everything squared off. You may need to adjust your feet a little bit. Press down into your feet to lift your heart. And as you exhale, start to take a twist to the right. Right arm is reaching back, left arm reaching forward. Outer hip squeezing into the midline. Hold it here, one more breath. Good, stay twisted, bring your left hand down to the mat, come back to that nice open twist. Then roll to the outer edge of both of your feet. We're gonna take these hip dips before we come into side plank. So as you inhale, reach back, drop your hips. As you exhale, press into the feet as you reach up and over, making a nice big arch with your arm as you lift your hips. Exhale, take it back. Inhale, press down to lift up. Last time here, dip it down. Good, this time reach your right arm up to the sky. Or maybe take a toe bind with your peace fingers of your right foot under your right hand and make your way into your version of side plank. Keep pressing that back foot into the mat to lift your hips. Good, you may be in tree pose. You may have your right foot out in front of you like a kickstand. Your version, your hips are lifting away, most important. One more breath here, wherever you are. Good. And then start to drop your right foot behind you, coming into this like flip dog. Pressing your left foot into the mat. Lifting your hips toward the sky. One more breath here. As you exhale, bring your right hand back down to the mat. Lift your left heel, come back to three-legged dog. And as you exhale, just bring your right foot back down, downward facing dog. Good. Left foot forward, rise up to warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Keep that right hand moving. Twist yourself back toward the front of the room, coming into high lunge. Your right heel is high. Tuck your tail, lift your heart. Feel your feet pressing into the mat. Squeeze your outer hips in as you take this nice twist to the side. Left arm reaching behind you. Gazing back. One more breath. Good. Stay twisted here as you bring your right hand down to the mat. Pausing here in that open twist we did before. And then roll to the outer edge of both of your feet. So your right hand is right under your right shoulder. Good. As you exhale, dip your hips down as you reach your arm back. Exhale, press your feet down to lift your hips and take your arm up and over. Again, dip it down. Exhale, really use your foundation to move, right? Build it from the bottom up. Last time, dip your hips down, reach back, gaze is behind you. This time as you inhale, keep that back foot pressing into the mat on the outer edge. Come into your version of side plank. Again, whatever feels good to you today. Most important is that you're pressing down to lift your hips away from the earth. Good, one more breath wherever you are. Lift up your hips a little higher by pressing down. And then let your left foot come behind you, flip your dog. Open your front body. Press your feet into the mat, tuck your tail down toward your knees. And as you exhale, left hand comes back down, lift your left leg up to three-legged dog. Exhale, take it back to downward facing dog. Inhaling here. Exhale. Inhale. As you exhale, bend your knees, look forward. Inhale, step or jump to the top of the mat. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, bend your knees deeply, rise up to Utkatasana. Good, as you exhale, fold it right back down to Uttanasana. Inhale here to lengthen. Exhale, step or jump back, lowering down to Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward, rise up to warrior one. Exhale, open it up to warrior two, tuck that tail, send your right knee back in space. Flip and reverse your warrior, reaching back, keep your knee bending forward. And as you exhale, take yourself into your version of extended side angle. Your forearm can be on your thigh, hand to the inside or the outside. You can bind it if that's in your practice. Again, don't forget about that back foot. Use that to stack your hips. Press into that foot. Stack your hips. Keep your heart opening toward the side of the room. Inhaling here. And exhaling. Next inhale, come all the way up to stand. Turn your right toes toward the side of the mat. All your toes are parallel facing the left side of the mat. Hands come to your waist here. Gently bend your knees. See what this feels like. With bent knees, press your hips down and lift your heart. Maybe find some more opening in the front of your hips when you do that. And then exhale, keep your core engaged as you fold yourself forward. Drop your hands to the mat. Start to walk them back toward the level of your toes. Maybe the crown of your head is on the mat. You could take this chance to move upside down. Or even if your head's down to the mat, or if it's not, just see what happens when you like press your feet down, bend your knees and send your hips back, and then press into your feet to straighten your legs back out. Good, maybe try side to side. Just do what feels good to you. I know I keep saying that, but this is really your time in your body, right? If you're upside down, start to make your way back down the way you started, right back into the straddle. Inhaling and exhaling. Next inhale, bring your torso halfway up, hands return to your waist. Press into your feet as you inhale, lift yourself all the way back up. Turn your right toes toward the front of the room, warrior two. And then straighten into that right leg, maybe walk your back foot in a little bit here. And we're gonna come into triangle. So really find space here in your right hip crease. Pull your hips back as you pull the crown of your head forward. And then take your hand down to your chin, your toes, your mat, your block, whatever feels good. And I want you in your triangle pose, gently bend your front knee, your right knee here, and then lift your toes up off the mat. So you're pressing really into the big toe mound of like the ball of your big toe on your right foot. Good, see what that does. See if you can stack your hips a little bit higher, right? Pressing your right hip forward and sending your left hip back to stand on top of it. One more breath here. Next inhale, bring your left hand to your waist, bend into your right knee, walk your fingertips out in front and come into half moon pose. Good. Again, maybe starting with a bent knee. I've been doing this a lot lately, kind of like blossoming into the pose. So kind of starting from the core, right? Straight, and then straightening out at the end, letting everything lengthen. Gaze is up if you have your balance. One more breath here. Good, as you exhale, bring your left hand down, square your hips, squeeze your outer hips in, Take the twisted half moon. Good, reaching your right arm up. Gaze moves up toward those fingertips. Don't forget about that back foot, keep it nice and engaged. Foot is flexed, the sole of your foot is pressing back. One more breath. As you exhale, right hand comes down. Take a moment here to lengthen your spine forward. And as you exhale, walk your fingers back toward your foot, coming into a standing split. Good, reaching those left toes up toward the mat, toward the ceiling, not the mat. Good. Really engage your core. Feel your core to lifting your foot. Not just as like flopping around up there. It's hard to keep track. So use your core to center yourself. One more breath here. Good, as you exhale, hands come to the mat. Float your left foot to the back of the mat, coming into a lunge. Right foot steps back, downward facing dog. All right, now I have to remember all those things on the other side. Hope I remember them all. Good. Left foot steps forward, rise up to warrior one. Exhale, take it open to warrior two. Inhale, flip and reverse your warrior. Pull your left knee forward as you reach your left fingertips back. And then as you exhale, come into your extended side angle. Again, whatever feels good to you. Keep pressing your chest toward the side of the room. Stacking your shoulders, stacking your hips. Press into that back foot. Feel the engagement all the way up to your hip. One more breath here. Next, inhale, come all the way up to stand. Straighten that left leg. This time, turn your toes toward the right side of the mat. Interlace your fingers behind you. Tuck your tail, maybe gently bend your knees again. Lift your heart as you pull your knuckles down. And then exhale, fold yourself forward. Keeping the length in the front body. Crown of your head is pulling down. Before you start to take your knuckles over your head, first reach them up toward the sky. Feel your collarbone open. Feel your shoulders pull back. And then without losing that, then start to take your hands over your head, right? Keeping those shoulders away from your ear. You may not go as far, but you'll open your shoulders more. One more breath here. Next, inhale, press into your feet, come all the way up to stand. Release your hands. Left toes point forward, warrior two. Then inhale, straighten your front leg. Maybe walk your back foot in a tiny bit. Good, take yourself into your triangle. Take your time here. Use your breath to find the length. And then exhale, take it down. Your arms are at 12 and 6, right? Again, maybe lift your left toes up off the mat. Gently bend that left knee. Feel the opening here. As you find space to pull your left hip forward and step your right hip back. Good. One more breath here. Inhaling. And exhaling. Bring your right hand to your right hip. Bend into your left foot. Walk your left fingertips out in front of you, a little to the side here so they're right under your shoulder. And then blossom yourself into this half moon pose. Gently bend knees, but engage legs, right? Even if your legs and your knees are bent, your legs are engaged here. Opening up and then pressing down through that left foot to straighten your left leg as you open up into your full expression of the pose. One more breath here. Exhale, right hand comes down, square your hips, right toes are facing down, legs are making a right angle as you lift your left arm up toward the sky. Gaze follows. Squeezing the outer hips in. Really, if you should feel nice opening in the outer left hip here. Inhaling here. Exhale. Left hand comes down. Take a breath here to lengthen. And then exhale, walk it back to your standing split. Inhaling. Exhaling. One more breath. As you exhale, bend into your left knee, float your right leg to the back of the mat. Step it back to downward facing dog. Then bring your knees down to the mat. We'll take a breath in child's pose. That was a long standing series. Good. So if your knees are open, if your knees are open or under you, see what feels good to you. But again, take notice at the top of your feet. If you're rolling out, if you feel your feet rolling out, that means your heels are rolling out. Try to pull them back into like the midline, right? So you're nice and even through your feet. Another breath here down in child's pose. Good. And then from your child's pose, stay low, just kind of crawl yourself forward onto your belly, coming into Sphinx pose here. Shoulders are right over your elbows, your forearms are parallel. Good, really feel your forearms pressing into the mat, your fingertips pressing into the mat. Then pull your shoulders open, like spread your collarbone as your heart moves forward. Press the tops of your feet and your hip bones down into the mat. And then just lift your heart. It's really forward, not as much up. Keep your gaze ahead. Find lots of strength in this pose. Good, one more breath here. As you exhale, just release for a moment, tuck your toes under, and then come into a forearm plank. You might take a little bit of adjustment here. You want to be nice and long, right? Your heels right over your toes. Your core is pulling in, tail is tucking down, and everything is squeezing into the midline here. Drop your hips a little bit if you think that they're too far up in the air. Good, one more breath here. And then either stay here 3 times to each side, alternating sides. We're going to bring our right knee toward our right upper arm and then take it back. And then take it to the left. Good, try to stay low, right? Not a lot of movement in the torso. Good, one more time to each side if you're doing this. If you're holding it, it's also a great core work exercise. Good, take it back, hold it for a breath and plank, and then let your hips drop to the mat. Release all the way down. You can turn your cheek to either side. Good. Maybe shake your hips out, release your lower back. Beautiful. From here, I want you to bring your arms by your sides. You can leave your palms down, which is more traditional, I think, or you can bring your hands up to the sky. I like to bring my palms up toward the sky to spread my collarbone, but do what feels good for your shoulders. Press your pubic bone and your hip bones down, and then inhale, keep pressing down to lift your legs and your heart up off the mat. Gaze ahead. Think about length of your body between your head and your toes, and then lifting up, right? First elongate and then lift. One more breath here. Keep pressing down to lift up. And as you exhale, bring your hands down to the mat, release down, cheek to the other side. One more breath here. Good, and then since we're down on the mat, and I love you guys so much, we're gonna come into silence. So keep your torso down. You can prop yourself up on your forearms here and start to take your knees out to the side. Right, thinking about all right angles, and definitely check yourself. I can't see you guys, but your knees should be coming straight out from your hips, and then your ankles right under your knees, and then flex your feet. So making all these right angles here. Just maybe rock back and forth a little bit here. First, arching your spine and pulling your heart forward, which is usually easier for most people. And then we're going to take a moment here. Really press the inner knees into the ground wherever they're touching. Think about pulling your belly in towards your spine and tucking under, right? Like pulling your belly in, tucking your tailbone down, almost rounding your spine a little bit. Opening up that inner thigh here. Inner hips. Hold it here for one more breath. Good, and then exhale, you can release back down to where you were. Holding here for about 10 more seconds. Good. One more breath. Nice and deep. And then however it feels good, start to make your way out of the pose. Come into child's pose for just a breath. So we just did the inner hips. Let's do a little outer hip work. Never get enough hips. We're going to take Adhyasambassana. So we're going to stack our shins and like fire logs, right? So this time your left shin is on the bottom, your right shin is on top. Stacking right on top. So elbow. It's definitely Friday. Heels and knees are stacked, right? If your right knee is way up in the air, you can put a little cushion under it. Otherwise, try to press it down or let it float if it's okay with your knee. Keep your feet flexed to protect your knees. Bring your hands behind you. Good, and then press down, lift your heart up and press your knees down. And this might be enough. This can be really hard on a lot of days. And then if either stay here, if you're feeling it, you can start to walk your torso forward, resting it on top of your shins, kind of using that weight to press your hips open a little bit further. Inhaling and exhaling. Just one more breath here. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, walk yourself back up. Take your hands behind you. You can just kind of Switch sides, you can take a couple little twists with your legs, opening it back up. And then we'll take it to the other side. So this time, right shin is on bottom, left shin is on top. But nothing fancy here, right? Just keeping it simple, but really focusing on all the movements and all the nooks and crannies, all the setup here. Take your hands behind you, flex your feet, press your knees down, press your sit bones down as you lift your heart. Good, one more breath. And then exhale, start to walk yourself forward over your shins if you're ready. Feeling the opening in your outer hips. Breathing. Every breath can take you a little bit deeper, right? Use it to heal you, use it to open you up. One more breath. Inhale, walk it back up. Good. Lean back and release your legs. And then bring the soles of your feet to the mat. Knees are bent up toward the sky. Bring your hands to the inside of your lower leg here. Take your elbows to press your knees open. Lift your spine nice and tall. Pull your shoulders down. And with this opening, either stay there and breathe or start to fold forward. You may not go very far, right? Think about yourself coming over a beach ball here. So like you're really taking yourself forward and then down. The crown of your head is pulling you down. But keep grounding those sit bones, grounding those feet into the mat. Take another breath here. Then inhale, come all the way back up. Lengthen your legs out to the side, coming into the straddle. Again, take your hands behind you. Maybe tip forward a tiny bit as you lift your heart. Toes are facing toward the sky right now. Open your heart. And with this length in your front body, start to walk yourself forward. You may be on hands, forearms. You can come all the way down, right? Just keep yourself supported and keep your legs engaged here, most important, right? That'll help safely open your hips. Breathe. Now your feet are flexed. See what happens when you point them. You may notice a difference in your legs, right? Just mixing it up, seeing what feels good. One more breath here. Inhale, walk it all the way back up. Take your hands behind your legs. Bring the soles of your feet together, coming into Baddha Konasana. Again, take a moment here. You want to scoot your sit bones up toward your heels as much as possible to keep a nice tall spine, right? And with that, open up, press your knees down, and then either stay there or start to, you can take hold of your feet with your hands and either squeeze them together. And actually, this is a good one to try. You can kind of explore your feet and your ankles here. First, fold forward, squeezing your feet together and see how that feels in your hips. And then maybe press the outer edges of your feet together and then open the soles of your feet like a book and feel the difference there, right? I don't know this for a fact, but I think it has a lot to do with how you walk, right? And where you sort of put your weight. I tend to roll out. So this is like super easy for me. When I press my feet together, it's super hard because I don't have a lot of strength in my inner, like the inseam of my foot. Everybody's different. It's just good to know. Inhaling here and exhaling. Next inhale, come all the way back up to seated. Extend your legs out in front of you. Take your fingers by your side and then drag them back as you pull your tailbone down towards your heels, navel in towards your spine. Pull yourself all the way down to your backs. Taking any inversion that you liked, you can do headstand, if you're working on that, forearm stand, any of those variations. A good one to do it before the end of class is a shoulder stand or waterfall. Waterfall, your hips are down. Shoulder stand, your hips are up. Anything to get your feet above your heart, reversing the blood flow, right? Sealing in this energy. If you're in shoulder stand, try to scoot your elbows in a little bit closer to the midline and lift your hips a little bit higher, keeping those legs engaged, tucking your tail toward your heels, reaching your toes toward the sky. One more breath. And then as you exhale, start to let your feet fall behind you, coming into plow pose. Beautiful. If your toes touch, release your hands. Breathing here, sending love to your lower back. And then bend your knees to either side of your head, squeezing your ears. Rounding out the sound for just a moment. And then straighten your legs back out, release your hands down to the mat, slowly roll yourself all the way down. Good. Tracing a nice big long arc with your big toes, right? Keep your core engaged, keep your lower back pressing into the mat as you lengthen your legs forward. Feel the front of your legs lengthen, right? Your hips lengthening down. Mine just cracked like popcorn. Good. Shimmy your shoulders, your elbows down by your hips. Take a moment here, take a few breaths into fish pose. We'll do one more stretch after this, so we're not quite done. In fish pose, press your head down into the mat, lift your heart, press your forearms down. Breathe in through your nose, let it all go through your mouth. One more time like that, breathe it in. Breathe it out. Good, then tuck your chin, come all the way back down onto your back. Bend your knees, let's just do a nice happy baby to wrap it up. Such a nice one. Lengthen your spine down the mat. Bend your knees down, the soles of your feet are facing the sky. Good, and before you start to pull your knees further down, think about your spine lengthening all the way like your sacrum is on the mat. Right, nice long spine, and then start to pull your knees down in towards your armpits, down toward the mat. Either staying here, you can lengthen one leg at a time. Good. You can even try grabbing on the inside of your legs, of your feet, see if it feels different, right? Just changing up, all about exploring here. Good, come back to center, just pause here to give yourself a hug. Take any last poses that you need to finish up your practice this morning. And then settle yourself into Shavasana. Letting your feet flop out, taking up lots of space on your mat. Just letting your breath be there, knowing it's there. Slowly start to reawaken your body by wiggling your toes and your fingers. Gently rock your head side to side as you feel your breath start to deepen again. Taking a big inhale, reach your arms up overhead, stretch your legs in the opposite direction. Maybe point those feet, really find that length one more time. And as you exhale, gather your knees in towards your chest, pausing to give yourself a hug. And with gently closed eyes, rolling to either side, make your way back up to seated. Taking a moment here, setting up a nice tall spine here. Maybe feeling a little bit taller than you did at the beginning of practice. It's a little bit more open in your heart and your mind and your body. Shrug your shoulders up by your ears one more time. Spread your collarbone. Let your shoulder blades spill down your spine. Gently engage your core and just take this moment to thank yourself. It took this hour and just notice the difference. All that you can do to help yourself and then help others. We'll close together with Loka Samasta. Please join me if you know it. Breathing in. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your hands together at heart center. Gently bow your chin in towards your chest. Taking this moment to thank yourself, honor yourself, and celebrate yourself, knowing that everything that you need lies right within you. Bringing your prayer to your third eye, sealing in this practice and this energy. We bow forward together. Namaste.